We're gonna do more. Salam, salam. I just had to put this up here. This is when the Sahara Desert, the world's largest desert, hottest place on the world, Africa. This is a legend. Scientists say that actually used to be green and lush. All right, we started.
And basically unrecognizable. And this paradise was also home to human populations, but
I wonder what human populations was there when all of Africa was green.
they've been really hard to study. Researchers have wondered who they were, where they came from, and how they connected to other human societies at the time. These are big questions, so you'd think that we would need lots of data to answer them. But it turns out that the key to unraveling all of those mysteries was hiding in a cave buried in the DNA of just two people.
DNA of two people. Yeah, no, I'm a fanatic, but genetics.
It may sound odd to hear the Sahara was once unrecognizable. After all, it's the most iconic desert in the world, filling nearly all of northern Africa. But it wasn't always a desert. Between 11,000 and 5,000 years ago,
I thought it was also the largest desert.
it had trees, lakes, and significant rainfall. We call that lost biome the Green Sahara. This time period is known as the African Humid Period.
It was humid and green. Sounded like some Bantu. The Bantu cradle was bigger, or all of Africa was the cradle of the Bantu.
Of a larger cycle of wet and dry periods in the region that stretches back more than 5 million years. These climatic changes are related to the Earth's tilt and orbit, which shift slowly over long periods of time. Those tiny shifts caused feedback loops between the climate and vegetation, and once those get going, the transition between wet and dry periods happened really fast. At the start of a wet period, the Earth is tilted in a way where the northern hemisphere gets more sun. That increases surface temperatures, causing more evaporation and leading to heavier monsoons. More monsoons mean more water, which leads to more vegetation. That vegetation absorbs more solar radiation, which raises the surface temperatures and increases evaporation, leading to more monsoons, and so on. Evidence from pollen and leaf wax molecules suggests that this happened around 5,000 years ago, ending the African humid period.
5,000 years ago, that's literally around Pharaoh time. And then they're saying that the Egyptian that was found, and they actually did his autosomal DNA, that it was North African and Iraqi. Knowing good as well, these Berbers, they are not of the Bantu cradle, okay? They are not of the humid era. All right, this is exciting. I keep learning new things every day. Mashallah, wallahi. I didn't know it was only 5,000 years ago. I thought it was like 20,000. They said it's creeping back. You heard? Wallahi.
And creating the Sahara Desert as we know it. But before then, you had lush grasslands with shade and plenty of permanent water sources. And when you have grasslands with shade and water, you have people. Humans began settling in Egypt a little over 10,000 years ago and continued to inhabit the Sahara until the rains stopped 5,500 years ago. Archaeological evidence indicates that the earliest of these systems.
So the Egyptians went around the Mali area. What's that? Algeria, Sudan. Or did they come from there? 20% of that one person that they did DNA on was non-African from the Mesopotamian era. I'm also 20% non-African. What do I look like? Hmm? Huh? Yes, 80% Africa. It's a good chunk. Good one, boy. Good one, boy. I tell you.
Societies were made up of hunter-gatherers who may have domesticated some animals and even created Africa's earliest ceramics. Then, over the next several thousand years, the people of the Sahara started living with sheep, goats, and cows. Those domesticated goats and sheep were likely brought to the continent from Asia, when people migrated in from Sinai and the Red Sea, later spreading out over northern Africa. The hypothesis has been that people from northern Africa,
sheeps and cows not from Africa. I know they got some oryxes. Do they got milk?
moved into the Saharan region when it started going green.
They got Paleolithic pictures of the big, huge bovine type creature out there. The horns be so long they almost go to the form of an ankh. Big old Watusi water buffalo or something.
Green, and later mixed with populations from the Mediterranean and sub-Saharan Africa. But this isn't the easiest hypothesis to test, because while some archaeological evidence exists, the genomic data that would allow us to see how people are related is in much shorter supply. The dry, sandy, windy conditions of the modern Sahara are absolutely terrible for preserving DNA. So when human remains
Actually, they were saying they couldn't find so much in Africa because it was too hot. Genetic companies actually came out to say that that was a lie and that it was due to biased decisions with the corporations. Just like AI is controlled by corporations.
have been found, they typically can't be genetically profiled. To fill in the gaps in our understanding, all archaeologists needed to find was one individual with enough preserved DNA to sequence. And in this case, they managed to find two. But before we get to that story, all research needs funding, including ours, so here's a quick ad break. Thanks to Brilliant for supporting this SciShow video. Brilliant is an interactive online learning, their daily and premium subscription.
That's brilliant, but
In 2003, archaeologists discovered a rock shelter in southwestern Libya called Takarkori. The site contained traces of settlements spanning between 4,000 and 10,000 years ago, and was a treasure trove for learning more about the people who lived in this part of the Green Sahara. They found pottery shards at the site that had traces of milk fat in them, which is the oldest clear evidence of people in Africa milking livestock for dairy products. And way in the back of the cave,
Africa's been doing that forever. I know it was some cows from Africa or something with some udders.
There were human remains from 15 burials dating from between 8,900 and 4,800 years ago. Two of these were women in their 40s who both died about 7,000 years ago during that Green Sahara period. And as the Sahara dried out, so did their remains. They essentially became natural mummies, and the slow and controlled drying process meant their DNA was preserved too. In 2025, researchers published
There's many mummies that's out there. We just now testing one.
The results of a genomic analysis that revealed who these women and presumably the
bunch of body snatchers anyway.
Other inhabitants of the Green Sahara were. It turns out that the hypothesis about Northern Africa, Mediterranean, and Sub-Saharan Africa mixing in the region is most likely wrong. The women had the most in common, genetically speaking, with a group of people who lived in what's now Morocco about 15,000 years ago. Even though Morocco would be part of the Green Sahara eventually, this was millennia before the African humid period began. So these Moroccan people weren't surrounded by greenery. So the fact that they were related to the Takarkori population from 8,000 years later suggests that the same lineage of people had been populating
Marano.
the region even before it became a lush grassland. Like their Moroccan relatives, the Takarkori individuals share very little genetic material with the people of sub-Saharan Africa.
No one in the world doesn't have little genetic links to sub-Saharan Africa. Okay? Dajal, deceiver you. Afraid. Whoa, like I said, they be. What year did this come out? This was 7 days ago. It's actually old news, but that is a lie.
Africa. So while we've known that the Sahara Desert is a
Why do they always have to add that in to anything that's in Africa? But they're not related to the sub-Saharan Africa. It's not sub-Saharan Africa if all of Africa is not the Sahara anymore. It's not sub-Saharan Africa if the Bantu cradle is Africa. It's not. What you think happened to those people that was up there? You think they just stayed in the deserts? You think Egypt was just a desert when it was made? Did they encroach off of the deserts? That is insane, sir. Sir!
barrier to human migration today, this suggests that it was a barrier even when crossing it was far less dangerous. The two groups aren't 100% similar, though. For starters, the Takakori women had less Neanderthal DNA. Neanderthal DNA is primarily found outside of Africa, so the
Neanderthal DNA is of everyone that is not of direct African descent. Neanderthal DNA is everyone right across the Suez Canal. Anything other than black. This is why today the racism is going on. Imagine living on Earth, on a whole continent of gold, riches, diamonds that really literally still don't mean nothing, but animals, fertile soil, the type of trees. Imagine the whole world's primitive, though, right? Who do you think was a superpower of those days?
more of it that you find in African people's genetics, the more likely
Also, a warfare being powered by manpower. Who was the elite superpower of the world? Now, down the line, of course, on the Mongol steppes, there was, whoo, boy. I know y'all like to talk about Britain, but hey, I mean, them cons. It's a lot of cons in the world, just like it's a lot of Johnsons in the world. You heard?
it is that that group of people mixed with non-African.
But yeah, I'm done with this liar right here. Well, why would you make that a point? Anyways, Abdullah Abbott. I hope y'all like that one right there. Assalamu alaikum.